Hello, and thank you for joining Conversations with Barbara. I'm Barbara Kanellopoulos. With me today is Megan Amsler. She is the Executive Director of Self-Reliance and also the Chair of the town's Energy Committee. Welcome to the program, Megan.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara. I greatly appreciate it. It's nice to see you.
Yes, it's wonderful seeing you again. Now, people who are new to Falmouth may not be familiar with Self-Reliance and the work that that organization does. Let's tell us something about that organization.
Absolutely. So we have been around for many years, since 1980, basically, and I have been there coming on to my 20th year. We've been heavily involved with the solar movement across the region. We established Barnstable County as a million solar roofs partner back in 2003. That's through the Department of Energy. We've done a lot of workforce training and barrier reduction and advocacy work, really, with homeowners and businesses that are looking to make informed decisions about how they can reduce their fossil fuel consumption, implement renewable energy, primarily in the form of solar. And we run a heat and power cooperative. So we have some community shared solar programs that we run. We run a fuel co-op for heating, so propane and oil. And we run training for building science for contractors who need to renew their building supervisor's license or construction supervisor's license. And yeah, so we do a lot of stuff along those lines. And then sort of a side thing that I've been working on for many years is offshore wind, and how our organization has been really interested in this, is looking at how do we keep the tangible benefits of this industry as it develops in our region and really up and down the eastern seaboard. How do we keep those tangible benefits here in our local economies? Mm-hmm. And so one of the ways that we see that that's really important and possible is through workforce training. And so I've been working on that at Mass Maritime for about 10 years, and it's been really exciting work to do. So.
Oh yes, well that's very exciting news. Certainly in an economy like the Cape's economy that relies on tourism, it's wonderful to think that there are the possibility of great jobs.
Yes, absolutely. And with the offshore wind industry really emerging here in the United States, there are so many possibilities and opportunities. I will say, as a woman who's been in this field, I have felt that it has remained largely white and male since the beginning. Yes. When I first, went to my first American Wind Energy Association conference back in 2003, and then was there in 2019 in Houston, and it hadn't really changed in terms of diversity. And so that's something that I have been really committed to, seeing how we can increase diversity. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be focusing on that and thinking about that, because there's a lot to think and do.
Yes. What are the installations right here that are beginning right here on Cape Cod? Is there?
So the first project that is really moving ahead, or the one that is furthest along in the process, is Vineyard Wind, and so it is to be located south of Martha's Vineyard, and then the power cable will come ashore in Barnstable, and so we have electrons that will be coming into our region from the offshore wind. There's a whole bidding process that has taken place through the state of Massachusetts. The next project that is, further behind, absolutely, Vineyard Wind, is Mayflower. Those are the two projects that we hear most about, Vineyard Wind and Mayflower. That being said, if you go, Connecticut, there are projects in the works in Connecticut. New York, Virginia actually has the first turbines in federal waters.
Really?
And those were done this fall. And so that's really exciting to see, what's going on, and seeing sort of how the industry in the United States is responding to some of the needs in terms of deciding who and where are vessels going, these very large vessels that are necessary for construction. Who's going to build those? Where are they going to be built? Who's going to run them? How are we going to train those people? Are they people that already exist in the industry and they just need some, some basic training to move over into this other space? So it's really exciting to see that.
Yes, exciting, challenging, and exciting,
Yeah.
and apparently growing support for that industry. And what do you hope to accomplish by way of diversity here, possibly here on the Cape?
That's a very good question. I always love to talk to people about if they have an existing business and they are interested in how do they fit into the offshore wind industry. I love to talk to people about that, so we can sort of do a little bit of an analysis and help people understand what the opportunities are. And I'm also incredibly interested in getting Native Americans to be part of this industry, because I feel like it's essential for us to do that. And again, it's really about talking to folks and getting to know what people are interested in, what makes them excited. And obviously, I believe that the more we can talk about this and help people get up the learning curve, the better.
Yes.
There are some great programs that we have around the region. UMass Amherst is running a professional certification program in offshore wind. We have the training at Mass Maritime that's been going on, and so which of course it's on hold with the pandemic.
Yes.
But I am one of the certified instructors for the Global Wind Organization basic safety training. So that covers firefighting, first aid, manual handling, which is like OSHA training, working and rescue at heights, and sea survival. So it's really hands-on stuff, and it's a fabulous opportunity to go to Mass Maritime and see all of the amazing equipment that is already there and that we as taxpayers have invested in on the campus, and to see how these pieces of equipment and facilities can be utilized for the offshore wind workforce training. So that's super exciting. But we have, Bristol Community College, UMass Dartmouth, Tufts, UMass Lowell. There are a bunch of schools that are, really trying to work towards this common goal of establishing an industry, a solid industry here.
Oh, well, that's wonderful that higher education is stepping up and providing programs. So, Megan, it appears that that there's a range of opportunities, of job opportunities, not necessarily just very high tech.
Correct.
Good.
Yeah. The interesting thing for Vineyard Wind is that they have made a commitment to Martha's Vineyard to have operations and maintenance technicians from the island work on the project. So that's really great in terms of job growth. And they're also to be locating an operations and maintenance facility there on the island. So seeing those kinds of tangible benefits and investments made into our local economies are really, really exciting. So, there are people that we need to be working in the port facilities. We need crew vessel operators. We need crane operators. We need welders. We need observers from the, for marine mammals and during construction, those kinds of things. I know a lot of the jobs during construction will be through the unions. And so, pile drivers, iron workers, those kinds of jobs, as well as the engineers and finance folks and lawyers. There's a lot to it.
Yes, I can see, and it does sound really very exciting. I know that there is some opposition to offshore wind, but I'm sure there are also mitigation efforts going on. Do you see that in the future they'll come to a kind of a meeting place?
Well, I will say that on the, fishing industry has definitely raised some opposition. And I feel that based on what I have seen and what I know, is that there has been a lot of bringing folks together to discuss what their concerns and issues are, and development of mitigation strategies. So I do feel that that is a very positive, a positive process, and so that people can feel that their voices are heard. So, I mean, the other pieces that I hear more are making sure that we have the jobs, because of the fact that this is really a new industry for us. And how do we make sure that our workers have an opportunity to bid on these jobs? Companies have domestic companies have an opportunity to bid. And that's sort of where we see, okay, there's a gap in our training requirements. The industry has certain requirements coming from the European sector, and we have a learning curve ahead of us. So,
yes, so it would seem to me then younger graduates from high school ought to be thinking about the programs that are being offered by our community colleges.
yes, absolutely. And thinking about the, from coming from the tech schools, where, what are their opportunities? I know that students come out of there with a solid understanding of electrical theory and practice. There's all kinds of, students know how to weld, and I, again, just sort of going back to the opportunities at Mass Maritime, because those are the ones I'm most familiar with. There are lots and lots of even the undergrad career tracks, the degree tracks that lead out into their careers. They're very nicely aligned with many of the things that are needed in the offshore wind industry.
Very promising.
Yeah.
Let's turn to your work on the as chair of the Energy Committee. Yes. What is the big concerns right now that the committee has?
So we're super excited to have gotten, with the help of the Cape Light Compact, gotten our green communities application into the state right before the end of the new, right before the new year. So that was great. And so we will be awaiting that designation by the Department of Energy Resources. That will enable us as the town and the schools, to go request funding for specific energy related projects. So we're really excited to be supporting that process. Over the summer, through Self-Reliance, we had some summer interns, which were wonderful. And we were able to rewrite and update the town's climate protection action plan, which we had, as the Energy Committee, had written with the help of interns many years ago. So soon that will be distributed to other committees within the town, and then we will put it before the selectmen at some point to ask for adoption.
Very nice, very nice. It sounds to me as if there's a kind of coalition building around the question of renewable energy. Lots of stakeholders, but lots of proponents as well.
Yes, and I think one of the things that we as a committee are really interested in is looking at electric vehicles as well. And how do we make sure that those electric vehicles, the energy is coming from renewable sources. We definitely want to be greater advocates for the services of the Cape Light Compact, the energy efficiency programs and the fuel switching programs that will be, that they offer incentives for. So that's really exciting. And I think, what we look toward is, how do we get more solar installed on our schools' roofs, and exploring some of that. We're very supportive of how that process takes shape. I'm trying to think of what else right now. Yeah, just really kind of weighing in on what people need, as residents. We really, our mission is focused primarily on being advisors to the selectmen, but we as a committee, really want to be there and support our community members who need to know more information about solar and energy efficiency and heat pumps and that kind of thing. And we voted some weeks back on supporting a Cape-wide Energize campaign, which is really looking at how we can do a mass effort of installing solar heat pumps for both domestic hot water as well as space heating and air conditioning, energy storage with batteries, and electric vehicles. So, and of course, as the foundation of that, the Cape Light Compact's energy efficiency program.
Yes, and those are future ideas and very important. I wonder if there's really at the present time things that ordinary householders can do that will help to preserve energy, to conserve. Are there still, rather than the sort of things that are require great rebuilding and more ambitious projects? What are some of the things that ordinary householder can do?
Well, I think, again, to go back to the Cape Light Compact, I strongly urge everybody to take advantage of that program for having an energy assessment. And while we have experienced some mild temperatures this winter until this past week, it seems,
yes,
it's energy efficiency, and whether we're talking about an increase of insulation and or air sealing is really important when it's hot out and it's cold. So we want to be able to keep ourselves warm, especially thinking about from an energy conservation perspective. But when we lose power, it's also really important to make sure that our walls are well insulated and that we have no excess air infiltrating at a greater rate, because you stay warmer when the power's out than in a well insulated home. So I think that's a really good thing. We pay into that program every month on our Eversource bill. So that's important. And I think as people start to look at how they can make a difference, household composting, I think gardening, grow more and more companies are, saying after the pandemic, they were like, we sold out of seeds, more people are growing their own food. And I think that has been a really sort of silver lining component, if you will, of the pandemic, is that the focus has become more local, which makes me very happy.
It seems to me too that Falmouth has been, in terms of municipal buildings, doing quite a lot to refurbish them, to look at ways in which these buildings can be retrofitted to conserve energy.
Yes,
I hear a lot about that.
Yes, and I think the town hall is one building where you go in and you can see now there are heat pumps, the mini split heat pumps on the walls in there. And I know the schools they're in a transition of upgrading heating equipment as well. And I would say both the municipal side and the school side have done a great job of making adjustments to how they are, making repairs and thinking about, when we do a roof, will we make it solar ready, so that we might not have the money now to do solar, but it'll at least be ready to accommodate the solar panels.
Yes, that's very encouraging, and it's becoming conventional wisdom.
Yes,
it doesn't seem to be the sort of rather exotic sorts of things. I think that's a welcome sign of the times.
Yes, as do I. I'm very supportive of seeing that.
Yes. Now, speaking of energy, I understand that you are also a farmer. Now we're talking about physical energy.
Yeah.
Actually, you're actively farming?
I do. We raise chickens in the summertime. We do a pasture-raised chickens, and then we take them off to slaughter about 12 or 13 weeks. And that's been that's been a really great thing that I've been doing for a number of years. We raise most of our own vegetables, and then we have a small herd of quarter horses, which we don't eat.
No, yeah, yes. Well, that's very exciting, and a lot of it is. I know that farming is requires a lot of physical energy, but also that it certainly must be wonderful exercise.
It is. It's a wonderful thing. I think just really being able to expand our garden over the years, and this more recent thing with pasture raising chickens is it's intense. Getting them from when they're chicks, raising them out, putting them on the grass. We use what are called chicken tractors, which are these, like a big pen that you move from place to place. And the breed of chickens that we get are these Freedom Rangers, and they graze. They're out on clover, and they just they
Oh,
snip
really?
right down, and you can literally see the difference in their flesh. When they're all processed, you can see the difference between a chicken that you would get from the grocer.
Yes.
And I'm really interested in and kind of passionate about how we use intensive grazing to sequester atmospheric carbon and put it back into the soil. And as you know, where we live, our soil is not fabulous. And just the difference that I can see from having clover that is intensely grazed and comes back, it was up to my knees this spring. So it was really amazing. And topsoil, where we didn't have topsoil, and when we have these crazy rains that erode lots of things, this land remains stable. So that to me is, it's a very small little thing that I can do, but to me, again, that's a tangible thing that I can do. We have raised cows and pigs also in the past, but not this year.
Yes, there was, perhaps it's still going on, a movement even in urban communities to do rooftop gardens and to have chickens in the backyard.
Yes.
And a lot of that requires some changing of zoning. Some cities are not too welcoming in that respect. But I think maybe the interest in having chickens in the backyard will grow.
Absolutely. And Falmouth is actually a right to farm community, so we're very lucky in that regard. Yes. And yes, there are more folks getting chickens. I know that when we went there was a run on chickens in the spring because everybody decided, hey, we're going to be home, we might as well.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. That would be bound to. What a wonderful opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Looking at the bright side of this pandemic.
Yes.
If there are not too many bright sides, but that's certainly being at home and finding that there are things that one can do that are worthwhile.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And you have your children involved in what you do?
My daughter, absolutely. She actually, when my son was younger, he would go take eggs to the neighbors and sell a couple dozen eggs around the neighborhood. And yeah, so I think my daughter is more interested in things from a climate change perspective and how do we mitigate for climate change. So yeah, I think growing stuff is definitely, getting kids' hands in the dirt is something that I really enjoy being part of.
Yes, and also part of their understanding of the natural world. We in some urban communities, the children grow up not knowing where their food comes from. Yes. And so this is really a very, very wholesome way to raise children as well.
And I do see that there's more interest in growing things and how do we integrate growing and learning about seeds and seed saving and that sort of thing into a very busy curriculum. I feel for the teachers and all of the things that they have to cover, but it's an interesting and an integral part of who we are as a society, where our food comes from. And
Exactly. You probably know about some of the elementary schools. I know that Mullen Hall has a wonderful outdoor garden. That
yes,
it's wonderful to see the children out there
yes,
um, looking at plants and then finding ways to attract bees and that sort of thing. So it's really a wonderful way for children to learn by doing.
yes, and I actually was so excited to see that Falmouth Academy has a lip balm that they sell at Vital Nutrition.
Really?
Comes from their bees that they have up on campus. So that's really exciting.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, we should know more about those sort of things. I had no idea. That is really extraordinary that they have bees there. Good. And turning again to the work of diversifying the workforce,
Yes.
we have locally the tribal community would be very interested. Is the industry reaching out to them?
Well, I am trying to reach out and hoping that I can get folks who are interested to talk with me. And as I said before, to me, it's really about having those conversations and finding out what certain people are interested in, and really kind of teasing that out and saying, okay, if you're interested in this, here are the opportunities that we know exist within the offshore wind industry. So I'm interested in talking to high school students as well to see what their interests are and help them see what the career pathways and opportunities for school are. I think that for so long it's been this far off thing. We really haven't. It's going to happen at some point. Well, now it's closer to reality.
Yes,
So,
yes, and it's good to be prepared.
absolutely.
And Self-Reliance has a website. We
Yes.
should put that on the screen. What is that web? Well, selfreliance.org. Is it
Reliance.org. Yes.
good? And so lots of information can be found there for somebody who is interested. And I understand that the organization that you do consulting work.
I
So
do.
that if somebody has a question, a problem, something they want to do, they can get in touch with you.
They absolutely can. We do an energy benchmark program every summer for the Woods Hole for Hui, and have done one for NOAA a number of years ago. We did one for Falmouth Academy. We help write a energy and climate action report for anybody any sort of business or large energy user that would like us to do that. That's one of the projects we do in the summertime. I urge folks, if they have college students that are looking for summer internships, there's this wonderful program through the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. And we take 2 interns every summer. And so folks are welcome to reach out, and it's a great program.
Yes. Now, when you say a benchmark program, can you expand on that? What does that mean actually?
So what we do is we take we with the entity, we pick a year in history, and we look at how much energy consumption through all the different energy uses has been made. And then we come up with a report, and then we move forward and collect data to reflect, is the energy consumption going up or down, or have there been changes in the use of energy, or the buildings, the facilities, are they being used differently? So that's sort of what we do. And then we make recommendations in terms of how can the entity improve upon that? How can they expand their use of energy efficiency measures and renewable energy to help stabilize those energy costs?
I see. That's really very important work. I'm sure that your clients are very grateful for that kind of information.
I think it can be kind of daunting, but I hope so.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, do you visit schools at all?
I do, obviously, with the pandemic, have not done that recently, but I always love to go to Janice Lewis's class in Lawrence, and have done some solar car making there. I have done an engineering after-school program at Morse Pond, which was really fun, getting kids to build stuff.
Oh, great.
And then I have also been in Elijah Switzer's class a couple of years ago with Kid Wind, so building little model wind turbines, and
Oh,
it's really fun because you get the kids in teams to make blades, and then we test it with a fan, and they get to mess around with stuff. It's really fun. I love hands-on things as a way to help teach kids. So yeah.
yes, I think that fits in very well with the emphasis on that we see in the curriculum on high tech, which
Yes,
is
absolutely.
really, yes, children do love the hands-on and learning how things work.
That's right. So if there are teachers out there that are interested, I'm happy to support that.
Yes. But yes, I'm certain when children begin going back to school, that there will be, so hang on to your lesson plans.
Yes.
Right, yes. So I think that certainly energy is conserving energy and thinking about renewable energy is the way forward in the future, reducing
Yes.
the carbon footprint. So do you have some thoughts about how, in terms of legislation, we can further that along?
That's a good question. And I must say that I don't spend too much time in that space. I have been an advocate for some of the carbon pricing legislation that has gone through various iterations within the State House. I think, again, the ones that I support are ones that really look at environmental justice and social justice issues, because we certainly have a history of building power plants and horrible things in communities of color, and that needs to stop. And we have to think about how do we make it so that these folks can have access to the clean technologies that we all should have access to. So I just to say, I don't spend that much time in that space at all, but when I do see things that are worthy of my voice, I certainly advocate for them. And I do think that we live in a state that has pretty progressive carbon. We're thinking about carbon, though the most recent carbon bill did get vetoed. I think from the legislature's perspective, there is bipartisan support for that, and that is very heartening to me. I think the town, the fact that we passed a climate emergency, that is very telling. We need to make informed decisions, and we can't dawdle.
Yes, I agree. I think that was a step forward, and we have a lot of citizen action.
Yes,
actually, in all areas of the Cape, not just in Falmouth.
Correct.
Where citizens are making their voices heard and urging. And then we have also our own committees that are working on climate change, coastal erosion, and things of that sort.
Yes.
The work is going on, and it's heartening to know that people are involved and excited by it.
Absolutely.
And also very concerned about being prepared.
Yes, and how do we recover? I think that thinking about resiliency and what does that mean for us as a community. How do we build resilience into our energy systems? How do we build resilience into our food systems? I mean, I think going back to the pandemic again, that was something that we've seen across the nation, right? Is that our food, the way our food is processed and manufactured, if you will, because a lot of it is, it's vulnerable to disruption. And so as an advocate for more local food, I think we see that the more local opportunities that we can create, that builds us a strong, resilient food supply.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, the pandemic has really revealed lots of weaknesses in our food distribution. So that we're learning some lessons
Yes.
in lots of ways. So before we leave, we should also remind viewers that they can check your website, Self-Reliance, to see what sorts of activities are going on and the sort of help that they can get. So we'll be sure that that is posted on the screen here for viewers. And I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and talking about these important ideas. And I wish you lots of good luck in making sure that the word gets out about the opportunities that offshore wind is offering to people. Do you have some final words about that?
No, if people do have questions, to please reach out to Self-Reliance, and whether it's about workforce or whether you have 3 solar proposals that you would like some objective feedback on, I am happy to provide that. If you are interested in learning more about how ductless mini splits and heat pump technology can help you move away from fossil fuel, I'm also happy to help with that.
That is wonderful to know. Thank you. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It was really lovely to chat with you today. I hope you have a super rest of the afternoon.
Yes. Thank you. And viewers, I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you again next time on Conversations with Barbara.